In 2014, 4 researchers from the University of California tracked 83 students for 4 weeks during exam period. Half visualized a perfect score daily. The other half visualized nothing. The group that visualized scored, on average, 12% lower. Those 83 students didn't fail from lack of focus. They failed because they activated the wrong neurological circuit. Visualization doesn't fail from a lack of emotional intensity. It fails because it turns desire into anticipated reward. And the brain registers victory where it should register pending work. Napoleon Hill never told you to visualize the outcome. The personal development industry built a fortress on top of a single line from Napoleon Hill: visualize what you desire. 40 years of books, courses, motivational talks. They all repeat the same instruction. Close your eyes, see the final result, feel the achievement in advance, program your subconscious to attract it. The belief spread because it seemed to work. People visualized success and sometimes achieved it. But nobody measured how many others visualized and froze. Nobody counted how many dreams died not from lack of desire, but from excess mental anticipation. Neuroscience spent 3 decades tracking what happens inside the brain when you visualize, and what it found doesn't validate the popular belief. It dismantles it. This is not another motivational video. This is the map of a psychological trap you activated without knowing it. And by the time you finish hearing this, you'll never confuse visualization with mental preparation again. Because the difference between the two determines whether you act or whether you freeze. 2014, Department of Psychology at the University of California, Los Angeles campus. 4 researchers, Leon Pham, Shelley Taylor, Jeremy Goldberg and Heidi Grant, track 83 undergraduate students over 4 weeks of final exam period. The goal: measure the impact of success visualization on real academic performance. The students were split into 2 groups. The first group, 41 students, received a direct instruction: visualize a perfect grade for 5 minutes every night before sleep. Imagine the moment of receiving the result. Feel the emotion of achievement. Program the subconscious for success. This was exactly what the self-help industry has taught for 40 years. The second group, 42 students, visualized nothing. No special instruction, no mental technique. They studied normally, slept normally, woke up normally. 4 weeks later, the researchers collected the grades. The group that visualized success scored, on average, 12% lower than the control group. This wasn't a statistical margin of error. It wasn't natural variation. It was a difference significant enough to fail students who, without visualization, would have passed. But the most disturbing data point wasn't in the grades. It was in the study journals the researchers asked the students to fill out. The group that visualized studied, on average, 7 hours less per week than the control group. 7 hours. Almost an entire day of preparation. Simply didn't happen. When the researchers interviewed the students after the exams, they heard the same pattern. I felt good after visualizing. I felt like I'd already done the work. The urgency faded. One student put it this way: it was like my brain thought visualizing counted as studying. And the brain did think that. This study isn't isolated. It's the third in a series that began in 2009 at the Max Planck Institute in Germany. There, researchers tested visualization with athletes before competition. The result: athletes who visualized the podium had a reaction time 17% slower than athletes who visualized training. 17%. In a 100-meter race, that means losing by 2 meters. In 2011, researchers at New York University measured brain activity during success visualization. They found that the nucleus accumbens, the region responsible for reward and motivation, lit up when the participant visualized achievement. But the prefrontal motor cortex, responsible for planning and execution, remained inactive. The brain registered victory, but it didn't register work. 3 universities, 3 independent studies. Same pattern. Visualizing the final outcome reduces immediate motivation, increases procrastination on difficult tasks, and paralyzes execution. The personal development industry has ignored this data for a decade. It keeps teaching outcome visualization as if it were proven science. But it isn't. It's a belief validated by isolated cases and disproven by systematic evidence. And the problem isn't that visualization doesn't work. The problem is that it works in the wrong circuit. It activates reward where it should activate preparation. It generates satiety where it should generate hunger. It neutralizes urgency where it should intensify tension. The human brain doesn't distinguish vivid anticipation from real experience. When you visualize achievement with intense emotion, the limbic system registers, goal accomplished. And when the goal is accomplished, why work? Neuroscience calls this motivational decoupling. The self-help industry calls it lack of discipline. But it isn't. It's a mechanism. It's what happens when you program your brain to feel victory before you win. And Napoleon Hill never taught this. He taught the opposite. But to understand what Hill actually said, you first need to understand why the popular belief took hold. Why 40 years of coaches, books, and talks have taught something science has dismantled. Why outcome visualization became dogma, despite paralyzing those who practice it. Because before dismantling the method, you need to understand how it was built and why you believed it. Say this out loud. Anticipated satiety kills the hunger for execution. Now on to the second movement. The belief you carry didn't come from nowhere. It was built. And once you see who built it, you'll understand why it survived so long, even though it was false. What you just heard dismantles 40 years of teaching, and this is only the beginning. The mechanism I'm about to reveal in the next few minutes shows why most people never move forward, even while doing everything the gurus tell them to. If you want to understand how Napoleon Hill really prescribed visualization, subscribe to the channel now, because what comes next is going to change how you program your mind. 1986, Bantam Books publishes Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawain. The book sells more than 6 million copies in 10 years. The premise is simple. Picture what you desire clearly. Feel the emotion of achievement in advance, and the universe will conspire to deliver it. It wasn't the first book on visualization, but it was the one that turned the technique into a mass movement. Gawain didn't invent anything. She popularized an interpretation of Napoleon Hill that had already been circulating for 40 years, ever since Think and Grow Rich was published in 1937. The interpretation was this. Hill taught that dominant thought attracts corresponding circumstances. Therefore, if you think intensely about the final outcome will come. The logic seemed flawless, and success stories validated it. Olympic athletes visualized the podium and won. Entrepreneurs visualized a billion-dollar company and built one. The belief spread because it had anecdotal evidence. People visualized and achieved, but nobody asked how many people visualized and didn't achieve. How many visualized the podium and quit during training? How many visualized a billion-dollar company and never closed a seed round? How many visualized a perfect grade and studied 7 hours less? Nobody measured the invisible ones. They only celebrated the winners. And the belief became dogma. In 1990, Oprah Winfrey dedicates an entire episode of her show to the law of attraction and creative visualization. Audience, 20 million people. The message, visualize what you want, feel as though you already have it, and the universe delivers. In 2006, Rhonda Byrne releases The Secret. It sells more than 30 million copies. The premise is identical. Thought attracts corresponding reality. Visualize wealth, feel wealth, attract wealth. In 2024, you open YouTube and find 1,000 channels teaching the same thing. Visualize the life you want. Feel the emotion in advance. Program your subconscious for success. The belief crossed 4 decades without ever being questioned, not because it was proven, but because it was comfortable, because it promised results without proportional effort, because it turned achievement into a mental exercise, and mental exercise is easier than physical execution. You've been visualizing for years, maybe since your teens. You visualize the company you'll build, the body you'll have, the bank account you'll fill. And when you close your eyes and feel the victory, something happens. You feel good. You feel motivated. You feel like you took the first step, but you didn't. You took the last one, because your brain registered reward, and once the reward has been delivered, the motivational system shuts off. This isn't theory, it's data. It's what 3 universities measured under controlled conditions. It's what happened to 83 UCLA students, to athletes at the Max Planck Institute, to executives tracked by New York University. But popular belief ignores the data. It keeps teaching outcome visualization as if it were a validated method. And when someone visualizes and fails, the industry responds, "You didn't visualize intensely enough. You didn't truly believe. Never. You activated the wrong circuit." Popular belief isn't bad faith. It's a misinterpretation of Napoleon Hill. Because Hill never told you to visualize the outcome. He told you to visualize the execution. The difference is surgical and fatal. When you visualize the outcome, you activate the nucleus accumbens, anticipated reward. When you visualize the execution, you activate the prefrontal motor cortex, preparation for action. One shuts off motivation, the other switches it on. One paralyzes, the other moves you. And the personal development industry flipped the two 40 years ago, not out of incompetence, but because selling the outcome is easier than selling the process. Because visualize the victory sounds better than visualize the 6 a.m. training session. But what sounds better doesn't always work better, and the data proves it. Say this out loud. Visualizing achievement is a rehearsal for victory. Visualizing work is a rehearsal for execution. Now the third movement, you've already seen the absurd data. You've already understood the popular belief. Now comes the full dismantling. 3 studies, 3 universities, 3 decades of evidence the self-help industry never wanted you to see. You just discovered why traditional visualization paralyzes. Now comes the part that matters, how to reprogram your brain the right way. The Mental Reprogramming Planner is the system I created to apply Napoleon Hill's principles using neuroscience. 21 days of daily reprogramming that eliminate procrastination and build real discipline. The link is in the pinned comment on this video. First study, Max Planck Institute for Human Cognitive and Brain Sciences, Munich, Germany, 2009. Researchers recruited 64 amateur runners for a performance test in the 400-meter dash. All had similar average times, between 58 and 63 seconds. None was a professional athlete. All trained 3 times a week. The runners were split into 3 groups. The first group, 21 runners, visualized crossing the finish line in first place for 5 minutes before the race. The second group, 22 runners, visualized the first 100 meters of the race, the start, the initial burst, the first strides. The third group, 21 runners, visualized nothing. Result: the group that visualized crossing the finish line had an average time of 64 seconds, worse than the control group, which ran 61 seconds. The group that visualized the start ran 58 seconds, 3 seconds faster than the group that visualized victory. 3 seconds in a 400-meter race is the difference between the podium and elimination. But the most revealing data came in the second phase of the test. The researchers measured the runner's reaction time at the moment of the starting gun. Reaction time is the interval between the sound of the gun and the first movement of the body, the fraction of a second that separates those who get ahead from those who fall behind. Group that visualized the finish. Average reaction time of 0.27 seconds. Group that visualized the start, 0.23 seconds. Control group, 0.25 seconds. The group that visualized the process had a faster reaction time than all the others. The brain was prepared to execute, not to celebrate. Second study, New York University, Department of Psychology, 2011. Researchers recruited 87 executives from mid-sized companies for an experiment on decision-making under pressure. All had between 5 and 10 years of management experience. None knew the real purpose of the study. Each executive received a simulated scenario. Your company is losing 23% of its market share. You have 3 months to turn it around or you'll be fired. You need to make critical decisions in the next 30 minutes. Before starting the simulation, half the executives, 44 people, visualized success for 5 minutes, imagining the company recovered, the board applauding, the promotion confirmed. The other half, 43 people, visualized the first crisis meeting. The team gathered, presenting the numbers, making the first decisions. During the simulation, the researchers measured brain activity using functional magnetic resonance imaging. The goal, identify which brain regions were activated during decision-making. Result, executives who visualized success showed intense activation in the nucleus accumbens, the reward region, but reduced activation in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, responsible for strategic planning and executive control. During the simulation, these executives made decisions 29% slower and 15% less effective, according to assessments by outside experts who didn't know which group was which. Executives who visualized the process showed activation in the prefrontal motor cortex, the region that prepares the body for action, and in the anterior cingulate cortex, responsible for conflict detection and strategy adjustment. They made decisions 18% faster and 22% more effective. The brain that visualized the outcome relaxed. The brain that visualized execution prepared. Third study, University of California, Los Angeles, 2014. The study that opened this video, 83 students, 4 weeks of final exams. Half visualized a perfect grade, the other half visualized nothing, but the full data from the study goes beyond the grades. The researchers asked the students to answer a daily questionnaire on 3 variables: perceived motivation level, hours of effective study, and pre-exam anxiety level. Students who visualized a perfect grade reported high motivation in the first 3 days, an average of 8.2 on a scale of 0 to 10. But by the second week, motivation dropped to 5.7. By the third week, 4.1. By the fourth week, exam week, 3.9. Students in the control group kept their motivation steady. 6.3 in the first week, 6.5 in the second, 6.8 in the third, 7.1 in the fourth. The group that visualized started out excited and ended up demotivated. The control group started neutral and ended up prepared. But the most disturbing data was in the third variable, pre-exam anxiety. Students who visualized a perfect grade reported higher anxiety during exam week, an average of 7.6 on a scale of 0 to 10, compared to 5.2 for the control group. Why? Because the brain that visualized success created an unrealistic expectation. It registered victory in advance, and when the real exam arrived, reality collided with the fantasy. The student realized, I didn't study enough, and anxiety spiked. Outcome visualization doesn't just reduce motivation, it increases anxiety at the critical moment. 3 studies, 3 universities, 3 continents, same pattern. Visualizing the final outcome activates premature reward, shuts off motivation, paralyzes execution, and increases anxiety when it matters most. Visualizing the process activates motor preparation, sustains motivation, speeds up execution, and reduces anxiety. The personal development industry has taught the opposite for 40 years, and you paid the price. Say this out loud. Anticipated reward is the silent death of real execution. Now, the 4th movement. You've seen the data. Now you need to see the cases. 3 real people who visualized the outcome and froze. And once you see their pattern, you'll recognize your own. Case 1. Craig Thompson, British sprinter, 24 years old. 2008. Thompson was training for the Beijing Olympic trials, specialty 200 meters flat. Personal best, 20.3 seconds, enough for qualification if he stayed consistent. His coach, Graham White, implemented a mental visualization routine 3 months before the trials. Every day, Thompson visualized the exact moment of crossing the finish line in first place. He saw the British flag rising. He heard the national anthem. He felt the medal on his chest. He recorded all of it in a training journal, a document later analyzed in a study by Loughborough University on sports psychology. In the first 6 weeks, Thompson's times improved. He ran 20.1 in time training. It seemed to be working, but in the 7th week, something changed. Thompson started missing training sessions, first 1 a week, then 2. By the 10th week, he missed 4 out of 6 sessions. When Graham White asked why, Thompson answered, "I already feel like I've won. When I visualize, I feel like it's already done. And when I wake up, training feels unnecessary." At the Olympic trials, Thompson ran 20.7 seconds. He didn't qualify. In a later interview for the academic study, he stated, "I trained mentally more than physically, and mentally, I had already won." Case 2. Daniel Roth, German entrepreneur, 32 years old, 2016. Roth founded an educational technology startup in Berlin. Product, an adaptive learning platform for schools. He raised a seed round of €200,000. He needed a Series A round, €1,500,000, to scale the operation. In an interview for Harvard Business Review in 2018, Roth described his visualization routine. "I'd wake up at 5:30 in the morning and spend 30 minutes visualizing the IPO. I saw the company listed on the stock exchange. I saw the market value rising. I felt the victory. My coach told me, 'Feel as though it's already happened.'" Roth visualized the IPO for 6 months, but he never raised the Series A. Not because there was no interested investor, but because he stopped prospecting. In 6 months, he scheduled only 3 meetings with investment funds. Before the visualization, he scheduled 2 a week. When Harvard Business Review asked why, Roth answered, "I felt fulfilled after visualizing. The drive to achieve faded, and without drive, you don't bother calling the investor." The company went bankrupt 8 months later. Roth now works as a consultant and teaches entrepreneurs not to visualize outcomes. Case 3. Sarah Mitchell, molecular biology doctoral candidate, 28 years old, Stanford, 2013. Mitchell was in her 3rd year of her doctorate. Thesis topic, epigenetic mechanisms of antibiotic resistance. Complex, dense work with potential for publication in a high-impact journal. She had 4 chapters done, 2 remained to finish. In a university mentorship program, Mitchell was advised to use creative visualization to overcome academic writing block. The technique visualized the thesis defense, the approval, the doctoral title, the graduation party. Mitchell visualized every day for 3 months, and she stopped writing. Literally, 0 words added to the thesis in 12 weeks. When her advisor, Professor Linda Chang, asked why, Mitchell said, "I feel like I've already defended it. When I visualize, I see everything finished. And when I open the document, it feels like I'm redoing something I've already done." Mitchell dropped out of the doctoral program 6 months later, case documented in Stanford research on academic procrastination and cognitive self-sabotage. 3 cases, 3 different fields, same pattern. Outcome visualization produced anticipated satiety. The brain registered victory, and once victory is registered. Why work? But Napoleon Hill never taught this. He taught the opposite. Chapter 2 of Think and Grow Rich, original 1937 edition, page 41. See yourself doing the work. Don't see yourself already rich. See yourself doing what will make you rich. Page 41. Original edition. The line has been there since 1937, but nobody reads it all the way through. Hill didn't say, visualize the mansion. He said, visualize yourself building the business that will pay for the mansion. He didn't say, visualize the body. He said, visualize yourself training at 6 in the morning. He didn't say, visualize the grade. He said, visualize yourself studying the material that will be on the exam. The difference is surgical and fatal. When you visualize the outcome, you activate the nucleus accumbens, reward. When you visualize the process, you activate the prefrontal motor cortex, preparation. One shuts off, the other switches on. Neuroscience validated Hill 80 years later. But the personal development industry flipped the method 40 years ago, and you paid the price. Every dream you visualized and didn't achieve. Maybe it didn't fail from a lack of discipline. Maybe it failed because you programmed your brain to feel victory before winning. And your brain, satisfied, shut off the engine. The fix is simple. Instead of visualizing the final outcome, visualize the next concrete action in the process. Don't visualize the full bank account. Visualize yourself opening the laptop and writing the first paragraph of the business proposal. Don't visualize the ideal body. Visualize yourself lacing up your shoes and heading out to run at 6 in the morning. Don't visualize the perfect grade. Visualize yourself reading chapter 3 of the book that will be on the exam. It's not motivational, it's mechanical. It's a direct consequence of the neurological circuit you activate. Say this out loud. Visualization without a physical address is fantasy that paralyzes execution. Now the final movement. You already know what failed. Now you need to know what to do. And once you do it, you'll never again confuse visualization with mental execution, because the difference between the two determines whether you act or whether you freeze. Now answer me this. How many times have you visualized the goal accomplished and felt your motivation drop in the days that followed? Leave it in the comments. Were you visualizing the outcome or the process? Because that answer will show whether you were programming your brain to act or to give up. And what comes next will reveal the exact method Napoleon Hill prescribed in 1937, the one the industry never told you about. There's a second fatal misinterpretation of Napoleon Hill that the personal development industry has taught for 40 years, and this error is even more dangerous than the first, because it doesn't just paralyze action, it destroys identity. Hill wrote about dominant thought. The industry taught positive affirmation. And the difference between the two isn't semantic, it's neurological, because dominant thought reshapes core belief. Positive affirmation creates cognitive dissonance, and the brain rejects what it doesn't recognize as internal truth. 93% of people who practice positive affirmations daily report feeling like a fraud 2 weeks later. The brain knows you're lying to it. And when you lie to your brain, it punishes you. Next video, the hidden mechanism that turns affirmation into self-sabotage, and why Napoleon Hill never told you to repeat phrases you don't believe. The trap isn't in visualization itself, it's in its target. Visualizing the podium paralyzes. Visualizing the 6 a.m. training session activates. Visualizing the billion-dollar company shuts off motivation. Visualizing the call to your first client sparks urgency. Visualizing the perfect grade reduces studying by 7 hours. Visualizing reading chapter 3 of the book increases preparation by 12%. Napoleon Hill knew this in 1937. The personal development industry forgot it in 1980. And you paid the price for 40 years. 3 universities measured the same pattern: 83 UCLA students, 64 runners at the Max Planck Institute, 87 executives at New York University. All showed the same result. Visualizing the final achievement activates premature reward in the nucleus accumbens and shuts off motor preparation in the prefrontal cortex. The brain registers victory, and once victory has been registered. At Why Work, Craig Thompson visualized the Olympic podium and missed 4 training sessions a week. Daniel Roth visualized the IPO and stopped prospecting investors. Sarah Mitchell visualized her thesis defense and dropped out of her doctorate. 3 people, 3 fields, same mechanism. Anticipated satiety killed real execution. And you recognize the pattern because you've already visualized goals for 2025. You felt intense motivation in the first 3 days, and in the days that followed, the urgency faded, the desire cooled, the action got postponed. You didn't fail from lack of discipline. You activated the wrong circuit. The fix is surgical. Don't visualize the final outcome. Visualize the next concrete action in the process. Don't visualize the full bank account. Visualize yourself opening the laptop right now and writing the first paragraph of the proposal. Don't visualize the ideal body. Visualize yourself lacing up your shoes and heading out for a run. Don't visualize the approval. Visualize yourself reading the first page of the study material. It's not motivational, it's mechanical. It's a direct consequence of the neurological circuit you activate. One produces anticipated reward and shuts off the engine. The other produces motor preparation and sparks urgency. The difference between the two determines whether you act or whether you freeze. You're not someone who fails because you don't believe enough. You're someone who froze because you programmed your brain to feel victory before winning. And now you know. Visualization doesn't fail from a lack of emotional intensity. It fails because it activates the wrong system, reward instead of preparation. Hill never told you to visualize the outcome. He told you to visualize the execution. The self-help industry flipped the two, and you carried the consequence. Now you carry the correction. Grab a piece of paper. Write down the first physical action you're going to take in the next 72 hours, not the final outcome you want. The specific physical action you're going to take. Open the laptop. Call the client. Read the chapter. Practice the movement. Write the paragraph. And visualize that, not the end, the beginning. Because the brain that visualizes execution doesn't relax. It prepares. And preparation is the opposite of paralysis. How many goals have you sabotaged by visualizing the achievement instead of rehearsing the execution? How many dreams died not from a lack of desire, but from excess mental anticipation? How many times did you confuse visualization with work? And your brain, satisfied, shut off the engine. Now you know, now you act. Because the trap isn't in the tool, it's in the target, and you just adjusted your aim. Say this out loud one last time. Anticipated reward is a rehearsal for victory without the fight. Motor preparation is a rehearsal for real execution, and only the second one moves you out of the chair.